After retirement, this is the one truth that changes everything. My dear friends, there comes a time in life when the clock slows down, not because time itself has changed, but because our relationship with it has. For decades, your life may have been set to the rhythms of alarm clocks, work deadlines, children's needs, and the quiet tug of responsibilities you could never quite lay down. But after retirement, something shifts. The noise fades. The urgency quiets. And in that silence, you begin to hear something you may not have noticed before: the steady, soft beat of your own heart asking a single, unshakable question. What now? At first, you may think the answer will be about money. After all, for years the financial world told you that retirement was a number, a savings target, a pension check, a social security date circled in red on the calendar. You may believe it's about freedom, the ability to finally travel or sleep in or do nothing at all. Or perhaps you think it's about health, keeping your body strong enough to enjoy whatever years you have left. And while all of these things matter, I have learned through decades of working with older adults, through reading the deepest research on aging, and through my own life experiences that they are not the truth. They are tools, yes. They are blessings, yes. But they are not the thing that changes everything. The truth, my friends, is this: after retirement, the quality of your life depends almost entirely on the quality of your inner world. Not your bank account. Not your blood pressure. Not even the number of family members who live nearby. Your inner world, the thoughts you nurture, the beliefs you carry, the way you make meaning of your days, is the foundation on which every joy, every sorrow, every relationship, and every decision will rest. It is both your shelter and your prison. And the moment you see this clearly, your life after retirement can transform in ways you may never have imagined. I know this might sound abstract at first, so let me bring it down to earth. I once met a man named Robert in a small New England town. He had been retired for almost 15 years when I met him at a local community center. His wife had passed away a few years earlier, his children were grown and scattered across the country, and he lived in a modest home filled with books, old photographs, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee. By many measures, Robert had an unremarkable retirement: no luxury vacations, no big adventures. And yet, every time you were in his presence, you felt lighter. His laugh was quick and genuine, his eyes attentive, his words carrying the ease of someone who had nothing to prove. One afternoon, over tea, I asked him what made his retirement so peaceful. He leaned back in his chair and said, "It's simple. I stopped keeping score." I must have looked puzzled, because he went on. "For most of my life, I was measuring how much I'd earned, what I'd accomplished, whether I had as much as my neighbor, whether my kids' lives reflected well on me. After retirement, I realized the scoreboard never turns off unless you turn it off. And once I did, life stopped feeling like a race I was losing, and started feeling like a story I was lucky to live." That, right there, is what I mean by the inner world. Robert didn't win the lottery. He didn't suddenly become young again. He simply shifted the way he related to himself and the world around him. And that shift, invisible to the outside world, changed everything. Science backs this up in ways that are both fascinating and humbling. Dr. Laura Carstensen, a leading researcher at Stanford University, has spent decades studying older adults. Her research shows that as we age, our priorities naturally shift toward emotional well-being and meaningful experiences. But, and this is important, those shifts are not automatic. They depend on whether we allow ourselves to step out of old patterns of competition, regret, and fear. Older adults who cultivate gratitude, forgiveness, and a sense of purpose live not only happier lives, but often healthier and longer ones. I've seen this in women as well. Margaret, a retired school principal in her 70s, once told me that the day she stopped being useful in the professional sense was the day she felt most lost. She had given decades of her life to shaping young minds, managing staff, and improving her community. When it was all over, she said, I felt like a book that had been closed and put on a shelf. For 2 years, she drifted, filling her days with television and errands, but never feeling truly alive. Then one morning, she picked up her late mother's sewing machine and began making quilts, first for her grandchildren, then for local charities. It wasn't about sewing, she said. It was about remembering I still had something beautiful to give. This is why the inner world matters so much. Because when the external structures of your life change, the job, the kids at home, the constant motion, the only thing left to carry you is the way you see yourself and your place in the world. And if that inner story is empty, retirement will feel empty too. Some people, unfortunately, never realize this truth. I've met retirees who had every comfort money could buy, but who spent their days in bitterness, nursing old grudges, or endlessly replaying the what ifs of their lives. They had time, they had resources, but they had no peace. Others, living on modest means, woke up each day with gratitude for the morning sun, joy in a neighbor's greeting, and curiosity about what they might learn before nightfall. The difference was not in their circumstances, but in the worlds they carried within. Here's where the science of the brain meets the art of living. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change throughout life, doesn't stop when you turn 60, 70, or even 90. Your thoughts literally shape your brain's wiring. If you practice resentment, your brain becomes better at resentment. If you practice gratitude, your brain becomes better at gratitude. This isn't poetic fluff, it's measurable in brain scans. And it means that the truth I'm sharing with you is not just a nice idea, it's a skill you can build, starting today. I've spent years working with people who've made that shift, and one pattern is clear. The moment they understand that their inner world is the true retirement plan, they begin to live differently. They stop waiting for external things, the perfect health report, the perfect family reunion, the perfect amount of money, before allowing themselves to feel content. They start building a daily practice of tending to their inner garden, reading uplifting words, seeking meaningful conversations, engaging in activities that bring both joy and growth. And here's something else I've noticed. Those who embrace this truth often find themselves becoming a quiet blessing to others. Their calm presence, their willingness to listen without judgment, their ability to find beauty in ordinary days, these things ripple out to children, friends, neighbors, even strangers. In this way, their retirement becomes not an ending, but a season of quiet influence, where the lessons of a lifetime are passed on not through lectures, but through example. I want to be clear, this doesn't mean ignoring real struggles. Aging can bring pain, illness, and loss. The truth I'm sharing with you isn't about pretending those things don't exist. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of difficulty, you can choose the inner posture you hold toward life. You can choose to see yourself not as someone waiting for the end, but as someone still living a story worth telling. There's a woman in Ohio named Evelyn who embodies this perfectly. At 82, she battles arthritis that makes walking painful, and her husband of 60 years passed away last winter. Yet when you visit her home, she greets you with warmth, asks about your life with genuine curiosity, and somehow makes you laugh before you leave. I once asked her how she kept her spirits so light. She smiled and said, "I let myself cry when I need to. But then I look for the one thing in the room that makes me glad I'm still here. Some days it's the smell of coffee. Some days it's the sunlight on the wall. I figure as long as I can find one thing, the day isn't wasted." That's it. That's the truth that changes everything. Your outer life will change after retirement in ways you can predict and in ways you cannot. But the inner world you choose to build will determine whether those years are a slow decline into dissatisfaction, or a quiet blooming into the richest season of your life. My friends, I invite you to take a moment today, perhaps right after this video, to ask yourself, what does my inner world look like? Is it cluttered with old hurts? Is it colored by fear of the future? Or is it a place where I can rest, where gratitude and purpose grow? Because if there's one thing I know after years of walking beside people in this stage of life, it's that you have more power than you realize. Retirement is not the end of your story. It's the chapter where you get to decide, perhaps for the first time, what truly matters to you and live from that truth every day. If you've found value in these words, I invite you to stay connected with this channel. There are more conversations to come, more truths to uncover, more ways to help you live not just longer, but deeper and more joyfully. So make sure you subscribe, leave a comment sharing your own reflections, and join me next time as we explore another insight that could make these years your best yet.